So we all do it, right? We get to the golf course 15, 20 minutes for a tee-off time. If we're lucky, we'll hit a few putts, hit a few chips, and then we get to the first tee and, well, we just sort of swing a little bit. And if we really, really care, we do one of those like Miguel Angel Jimenez squat stretch things, but we don't warm up properly. That's where I'm going with this. So as amateur golfers, that first tee shot is a lottery because our bodies are not geared for peak performance. Okay, relative term that. Professional golfers, on the other hand, they get to the golf course way before their tee-off time. They go through a full-on routine and they are ready to fire with that very first shot. So I know we haven't got the time, we haven't got the means and the resources that professional guys have, but if you do have some time and if you do have the inclination to be prepared for your first shot on the round, then this episode of Strong for Golf is for you, because we're going to show you what to do. Roll title sequence.
So for an effective golf warm-up, what you need to do is create mobility in the right joints and movements. And then once you've done that, we want to activate the muscles and movement patterns that you're going to use during your round. So our warm-up starts with a sequence of mobility drills. We start off releasing the hip flexors, then we do a pigeon stretch, which is also working on the hips. And then the rocking frog, more hips. Then we go to a bretzel stretch for thoracic mobility. And then the most amazing stretch is thoracic and hip mobility. Finally finishing up with a little bit of shoulder mobility. Once we've mobilized, it's more effective and you'll get more out of your activation. So we move on to some hip activation with single leg glute bridges, contralateral pattern activation with the bird dogs, band glute walks, more hip activation, dead bugs, reverse lunges with a bit of a twist, now bringing in that thoracic mobility while the hips are firing, so more specific to swinging. And then finally some rocking planks, which gets the core and upper body to work together and activate. So this is a nice quick sequence to go through before your round. It not only will warm you up for the day and activate the movement patterns you need, but over time this acts as a bit of movement correction, and you will benefit over time doing this. Every time you play, your movement will improve and you will get strength in the muscles and movement patterns that you need.
So basically what you're saying is this plus this equals bombs, big bombs.
Bombs and birdies.
So let's get into these moves a little bit more. This first one is just a very sort of gentle thrusting forward motion, just to kind of get the hips going. And this is a good start, nice and gradual. Just make sure you're always activating your core as much as you can on things like this. And obviously keeping your hips nice and square. And clench those glutes. That's a really good start. Always clench the glutes. Then we got the pigeon stretch. You need to extend that front leg out there, get that knee down on the ground, and then just try and lower the buttocks, the glute area, down ever so slightly, and you'll feel a nice stretch on the outside of your quadriceps there. And then we got the rocking frog, another great hip flexor exercise. So get your knees out and then your ankles directly behind them, nice and square. And then slowly just rock forward and back, and then you can extend further to increase your stretch. And with this one, just try to take it nice and slow, nothing too rapid. And after the initial 2 exercises, this will start opening things up very nicely in the hip flexor area. Then we got the bretzel. It's like a pretzel, but I think a guy called Brett might have invented it. I don't know, I forget. Anyway, this is for thoracic spine. Hard to say, but very good to do. So get into this position, this pretzel position, and then just breathe in, breathe out. And every time you breathe out, you're extending that shoulder back down towards the mat. Again, nice and slow. Really focus on that keeping the hips nice and square, that top half, your thoracic area. I struggle with that. Make sure that's rotating. Then we got the most amazing stretch. Once you get to the top there, you know why it's called that. Fantastic stretch, really helping you work this one out here. And then you'll definitely feel like you can then put this into a golf swing. Yeah, like I said, hence the name. It's a really great one to do. Do this one most days of your life. Totally worth it. Crab reaches are pretty straightforward. Get into the crab position, and then you can extend out like this. Again, you're now bringing more of your upper body into play here, but always focusing on clenching those glutes, activating that core, and thrusting them hip flexors into a very dynamic position. At this stage, I think you'll realize that I script these completely by myself. I have no help from Scottie. I'm just basically talking over it. Single leg glute bridge, very self-explanatory. You're activating the glute with the single leg bridge action. Nice and slow, back and forth. Then we got one of the major activations from the McGill 3. It is the bird dog. Nice clenched core here, tight on the glutes, and you're extending very nice and slowly. Don't get the hands too high, don't get the leg too high. You don't want to arch around the back. You want to keep this as nice and steady as possible and focus on doing this either side, and with the core activation, you'll do wonders. Slightly bigger moves now, get the elastic over the feet, and then just nice little diagonals here, back and forth, it also gives some side to side, also really great for the glutes. You may need a bit of space for this, so find a good area in the change room before the golf round. Dead bug, you can do this with a ball, or alternatively you just put hands on alternate knees, and then you extend like that. So whatever hand is on the knee, that's creating tension so as to activate the core. And then your alternate limbs are essentially just rotating from there. So keep activating that core throughout. Out of all the movements, I think this one's the most difficult. So again, take this very slowly, but it's just lunging backwards there and make sure you're twisting. So you've warmed up the thoracic spine. Now you're combining it, Now you're combining it with some movement on the lower body as well. So again, take this one nice and slowly. Just try to get really strong on that sort of backward lunge. And then once you have that, you go for a twist. And then we've got the rocking planks, finishing off strong. This one's nice and easy. Just simply get into that plank position and then go back into a sort of froggish position. And then just keep going forward. By this stage, everyone in the change room is no doubt staring at you, but it is so worth it as you then take these movements and rip it 30 meters past them on the first tee while having a good day. Next time on part 4. It's time to take the training to the range and see what kind of numbers I get with driver in hand.